Liquidator, this is the Liquidator Report, man. I hope everybody's having a happy, safe new year. We have to talk about the hottest story of the hour, and that is Arch Manning putting hands and feet all over Michigan right as we speak. Look like the Texas Longhorn is going to run away with this one, but I'm telling you right now, Arch Manning has sealed his fate as an elite quarterback. Now, we all know how this season started off, man. It looked real rocky for Arch Manning. Now, I'm here to tell you the young man is the real deal Holyfield after this matchup going up against Michigan. The highlights is breaking the damn internet, and I'm telling you right now, Arch Manning is a name that we really have to pay attention to for either this year's NFL draft, but for sure next year. Many people was thinking that he's going to come out this year. I don't think he does. I believe he stays in college, but I'm telling you guys this for sure. Arch Manning is the future of football, bro. It is what it is. The young man is sensational, bro. Just sensational. I mean, play after play. Look at this run right here.
Keeps it himself.
Look at him. Look at him. This got to be like a 60, 70-yard run. That ain't the only one. I mean, he throwing darts. The young man is like that, bro. I can't even lie. I mean, there was a lot that was going into the season with this young man. And I'm here to tell you, when it comes to Arch Manning, I believe he has a very bright future in the NFL, bro. I mean, he dropping buckets downfield. Look at this. Look at that pass right over the shoulder, right over the defender. This young man is like that, bro. And I'm happy for him. Eli Manning in attendance, going bonkers over his nephew. Guys, Arch Manning like that, man. Now, he's currently at the podium. Let's check out what he had to say. Let's roll it.
And so, well, here we go. Now he's in there, and he is the leader, and he's playing with guys who haven't really played much or hadn't been in that position. And his confidence continues to grow, and all that does is spread to other players. I think that's what unique competitors have the ability to do. It's not only his competitive spirit, but he can spread it to others. And I think it just speaks to a lot of the other younger players is if you look to these guys and you look to their practice habits, you look to the way they carry themselves, you look to the way they work about and don't complain and just do what you're supposed to do. Stay competitive. Don't just accept the role you have and strive for more. That when your number's called, you'll be ready to play. And I think that showed up for him today, and I think it gives him a great springboard into the offseason of 2026 from a leadership standpoint. I left out Bo Barnes, by the way, with a sack today. Just another guy who hadn't been playing all year and stepped in, was ready to go, and had a great sack for us today as well. Jordan Johnson-Rebel, another guy who hadn't been playing. I mean, a bunch of these guys that stepped up today.
Hey guys, Tyler Strimple, Texas Student Television. This kind of is a question for you, Coach, and you, Ty Anthony. In the fourth quarter, defense seemed to dominate just a little bit more. Was there like a message that was said going into the fourth quarter? What changed to allow you to make those big plays?
Yeah, I think just kind of Colin brought the boys in and just said, let's finish this thing. Let's play together, let's stay tight, and let's do it for one another. And I feel like, just him putting that energy in just kind of, helped us out too as well. So.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't reference Colin today. He was extremely disruptive in the game. Colin's another guy that as you grow in our program, you start to assume new roles, new responsibilities, and he's grown into one of the leaders on that defense with this guy, and it felt very natural and comfortable. It didn't feel fabricated. When he went to speak to the team, it felt like that's exactly what he was supposed to do in that moment. And so, like I said, that's a good sign for us moving forward.
Stand left side on either end of this row, and then we'll go to the second row right there.
Question for Arch. You were in full command. It's such a great way to cap a season. You've grown a lot. It's been that kind of ride. How important was it to cap this season, a season of growth, the way you did tonight?
Yeah, it meant a lot. I think, go back to Coach Stark's point, just stay in the course and continue to compete. And I think we had a month of preparation before this and getting new guys acclimated, and it was cool to cap it off like the way we did.
We'll go to the other end of the front row, just on the
Albert Richardson, Arbors. Coach, you guys have dealt with setbacks, but then rebounded, whether it's losses, whether it's the committee and having played ball games. So what do you think you've learned, about your team during this process, and what do you want these guys to learn and carry over going into 2026?
Yeah, I think that I was talking about the life of a competitor, but I think about how you respond to adversity. We live by a simple rule: life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. And so there's some things that we caused, with our play and lost games. There's some things that, hey, we were told we couldn't get in. But any way you shape it, it was a form of adversity. And I think the one thing that this group, who's really all these guys don't know any different than the messaging that they've had from the day they arrived and as they've grown in our program, how you respond to adversity, what do you do about it? That's the key. It's not about what happened to you. What are you going to do moving forward? And these guys continue to respond. And I'll say this, that's not easy to do, because if you live in the world of the internet about what happened, and we keep talking about where we're going and how we're going to move forward. And I credit them, and I credit them in the locker room because I need them too. Their energy, their spirit. There's days when I was disappointed. I'll be honest with everybody. I was disappointed we didn't get in the playoffs. But then showing up and seeing these guys in a team meeting and their energy and the way they go to practice, that inspires me too. And so we feed off of one another. But it takes special leaders, and it takes some of your better players to have that competitive spirit about themselves, to send a message to everybody else that this is how we're going to go about our business. And I will say one thing about our practices over the past about 2.5 weeks or so, we practiced a lot more together. And we were all on one field with the offense and the defense kind of alternating reps. And I think it was good for Arch probably to watch our defense practice and for Ty to watch our offense practice. And it created a little more dialogue. It created a little more competitive spirit. It created more physical practices, faster practices. And I think that was helpful and needed too, to kind of pull everybody out of the funk and focus on the next thing and the next task at hand, which was this game.
You're the right side, second row, second in from the right.
Evan Veith, Inside Texas. This is for Coach and both Arch and Anthony. Over the past few years, it seems like the bowl season has been dumbed down a little bit by some of the general public. After TCU and USC last night and this game that you guys have just played, where there was a lot of feistiness between both sides, is this kind of a pitch to the world that this is an important part of the sport? These games still do matter, and these matter to the players and the coaches alike?
Well, I would say this. I don't think that the bowls are dumbed out. I think we have to reframe our picture of what the bowls are. For us today, I talked about, we had 9 starters that weren't even on our team by the time we kicked this ball off today, that either going to the NFL or decided to transfer. We had just about a little over 20 players that are no longer on our team. That doesn't mean that this game doesn't matter to these guys, but there's just new faces. And I think sometimes we have to reframe the narrative and the picture of what the bowl is. There's a bunch of guys in that locker room. We're trying to go seize this opportunity and seize this moment individually so that we could seize the moment and seize the opportunity as a team. Now, there's going to be some teams that don't have the competitive spirit with like guys like this. And that's on their bad. That's not about the way we operate. And so, I thought Michigan, to their credit, they had a bunch of fight in them today too. I think they only had 3 opt-outs, and that's a credit to their coaching staff and to Biff and that organization for keeping that team together through some of their adversity too. And I credit them. They showed up ready to play today. And so all in all, I hope, and I can't wait to see the ratings from this game, because like I said, I think a lot of people watched this game today and were tuned into a very exciting football game with 2 really good teams with very talented players.
I'm going to take 2 on the left, both the gentlemen in the tan, side by side, and we'll go to the front far right.
CJ Vogel on Texas Football. Coach, 3rd straight year where you've eclipsed 10 wins. You got this program in a good spot. I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you feel like the trajectory is still headed for this program as well, and then any update on Emmett Mosley as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about where we're at as a program. We always, every year, we go into the off season, and we're going to go into winter conditioning here in a few weeks. You get a few weeks, okay? In a few weeks, and there's natural goals, right? we want to be SEC champions and we want to be national champions. I get that, and those are the ultimate, right? For every team you go into it. But man, there's a lot of victories along the way to be proud of, and I'm not going to belabor all the ones and of beating the rivals and doing all that stuff. But those are great moments for that team, and for that team to go win 10 games and to fight back the way that we did. And like I said, hey, we made our case. We didn't get into the playoff and have that opportunity, but we were a 6-2 team in the SEC. We're 13-3 in 2 years in the Southeastern Conference. We were recruiting really well. We've got a great nucleus of players coming back to this team. We'll find the right mix of potential Porter players to add, but we've got to retain our players too. That's really important. We got a great football team in there that I promise you, not a lot of people wanted to play. There was probably a lot of teams that were hoping we didn't get into the playoff, and that's okay too. But our trajectory is right where it needs to be. We're a very good football team. We lost a couple tough ball games. We fought back. We've got the right culture, the right mentality. We got a really tough schedule. We're going to have to play next year. We're going to have to build the depth out for that team next year. And then we got to build this culture back because there's going to be a ton of new faces, right? We've got 20 some odd high school kids that are going to join these guys. There's going to be some transfers that join these guys. New leaders have to rise up. And then we got to build that culture winter, spring, summer, fall camp, and get ourselves ready to go for another challenging schedule. But I wouldn't, there's no other group I'd rather go into that schedule next year with than the group of guys that we have, that's for sure.
Arch, you had a number of big plays today. There was the fourth down conversions, the throw to Kalik, the big run at the end. I'm just curious, which one was most pleasing to you and why?
Probably that throw to Kalik. Him stepping up in that moment. It was special for him. I'm glad he came down with it.
Yeah, Ty Anthony, what was the reaction on the bench after you get your second pick and then you look up and Arch is doing a long distance house call just like you did against A&M?
I just looked up and said, "Thank you, Jesus." Just looked up and said, "Thank you, Jesus."
Oh boy.
Coach, I want to redirect the conversation back to Colin. Do you remember at the beginning of the year when he was getting all these penalties and you tell us, I don't think that that's the statistic he thought he was going to be leading in? Well, tonight he is now the leader in the SEC for sacks. So you and Ty Anthony, can y'all both tell me about his growth throughout this season, his journey to get here, and what it means to y'all and what it means to him and just the rest of the defense?
Yeah, I'll touch on it. I think about Colin at the start of the year, and I'm gonna get back to Colin, but I'm gonna kind of pull it all together. I think about Colin at the beginning of the year. I think about Arch at the beginning of the year. I think about Ryan Wingo at the beginning of the year, and I felt like if you guys used to hear me say, sometimes I feel like they're trying too hard, and allowing the game to come to them, and then building confidence through that. And what amount of growth we saw in those three. How about the amount of growth we saw in this guy? And what we say about the OU game, the light kind of switched for you about halfway through the season, probably about the same time for you. And so it takes time, and I know all these guys come in with 4 stars, 5 stars, all this stuff, and we want instant, bam, they're going to be all Americans and be great. It takes time. It's a process, and we play tough schedules. But I credit these guys for continuing to work at it and trusting us of this is how you can get there. And Colin's a great example of that. Colin's an extremely disruptive player. I thought Colin shifted at Florida. Maybe we didn't play our best game defensively in that game, but I thought Colin played a good game because he was defending the run. And he was now becoming a multi-dimensional player. It wasn't just about rushing the passer. He was stopping the run, and he was starting to affect the quarterback. And then the sacks and things started to happen for him. And so he's a disruptive guy. I told him today the best play he made today was on his interception, because on that play, Colin was in pass coverage, and the quarterback had nowhere to go with the ball because he took away his outlet. Then Ty Anthony got the interception. So the versatility of Colin, I think, is something that sometimes gets overlooked.
Got one back in the center of the platform back there. And we'll wrap after this.
Corey Mose, KVU Sports. This is for Arch and Ty Anthony. You just heard Sark talk about not looking in the past, but then looking forward to the future and what this program is headed towards. From a player's perspective, where is this program headed towards?
You want to say it? I got it. Yeah, I think we got to attack this offseason, get in these new guys, whether it's the high school guys or the portal guys, and keep our guys and attack winter workouts and continue to us to be better leaders and get this thing going. The standard is a standard at Texas, so got to keep it going and have a good 2026.
Oh, I say, just what Art said, just kind of, picking up the leadership role, just kind of trusting the guys, the young guys, getting them acclimated to the program. I think, in the end, that's what's going to build a national championship team.
Take last one here on the platform, all right?
Arch, your uncle got MVP here. Now you have one. If I'm not mistaken, he threw for his. You ran and threw for yours. So do you kind of have some bragging rights? What's that conversation going to be like?
Nothing against the Citrus Bowl, but I think he played in it twice. I don't want to have to play in it twice.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Arch. Thank you, Ty.
Righty, y'all.
Y'all
Thank